guys. As you have already seen, we have the car back, and it is time to get it up on the rotisserie and start cutting out rot and fixing the old thing up so we can get going back together. Already been out and whipped up a couple of adapter plates for where our rear bumper was, and we are going to finally get them bolted up on the new to me rotisserie. So let's get these things going. A guy took his one of his sons and daughter to drop off the 40 cab at the Sandblaster, and we picked up the Nova. Here it is. We have a lot of uncovered issues. A lot of it I was aware of. Some of it I was not quite to the extent it is. The biggest issue is this quarter panel patch that was put on in ages past. I could tell that that was the case because of how it looks. You know, they just sliced the old and scabbed the new over it, overlapped it a few inches and just welded her shut. If you put a straight edge across this, you have sometimes up to ½ an inch gap. And of course you would want even more to round that over and match the convex surface of the quarter panel. So what a guy's gonna do, come along in here, most likely with a cutting wheel, zip off more of the original, and then butt weld these together, bump it all out, so we got the curve back in it, and then away we go. The front, I don't know, but it will have to be dealt with. We have the lace doily effect going on in here, all the floor pans, but I already have replacements. The top is overwhelmingly pretty good. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of filler and block sanding involved there. Both rocker panels basically look like this. A little bit of perforation in about the same area, but otherwise pretty solid. The trunk, little disappointed. We may get a trunk pan, we may not. Most likely we will, and a few more holes than I was expecting in that. This piece we knew about, of course, kind of getting a plan together in my mind about how we will take care of that. And I think the only other issue on the main body is that right there. That'll be a simple patch. Duct taped the cowl tag on because one rivet was off and it was kind of loose. So the girl taped that on before we made the trip. This is mostly ready for chassis black, but the horns are very inconsistently damaged and need some attention. Inner fenders are actually pretty good. Here's my floor pans. There's a little bit of rust on the radiator support, nothing too terrible. The hood overall is very nice, except the front leading edge where the trim was. Not sure if I'm gonna deal with that, not sure if I'm just gonna replace it. Trunk lid is really nice, except we have a little bit of a problem right there we'll have to deal with. Fenders, overall again very nice, but where the rear brace is meets the outer skin had trash in it on both, and that one's really been hammered along that surface. And then it has the trim holes for how this car was set up originally, and those were covered up for the Rally Nova decal, which we are going back to, so I will have to fill those in with actual metal this time. And our cowl is overall pretty nice, but it is a little bit of a problem here. I'm already struggling. Okay, I think that'll do it. I ended up having to do it way different than I originally planned. I could not use my rear mounts. We can take a closer look at that. But nevertheless, there she is. Well, now it's a new week, and I am going to start my week probably during the course of the first couple days here. As I have time, I'm just going to be priming for a couple days because I have a lot to cover up, you know. I got this thing on the rotisserie, not exactly like I expected to get it on, but it's on. And it should be just fine. I did plan on doing the front cab mounts this way, you know, and a guy could probably make some shorter arms and get that scooted in another foot or so. On the back, I made some rear mounts. I forget whether I'm even gonna include that in the video or not, if I even showed that, to go on the bumper spots. And they would have worked great. However, this crossbar only accommodates 48 inches, and I would need 50, it was over 50 inches. So they were too spread apart. I considered using only the inner holes, scoop my mounts in. I didn't like that, but when I was using them, then this would be like the front one and scooted back, you know, another foot. And then the danged old beam underneath would have been way too short. You know, we were at least a foot and a half short on that beam, and which I could certainly get a longer one. But honestly, if you're selling rotisseries and they don't accommodate a Nova body, what are you even doing? You know, it's not that big of a car. So anyway, I ended up putting bolts through the gas tank strap slots there and just putting it down, and it comes to rest on the rear pan there, just really nice. And that should be fine. At this point, I'm not going to worry about bracing. Being a unibody car, this uses the strength of the body between the rear axle and the front support, the engine cradle. That's what this thing is designed to do, right? Now, it's debatable. Certainly, if I was cutting the entire floor out, it's still debatable. The entire rocker panel assembly is boxed in and supported and meant, you know, that's where a lot of strength comes from. That's the frame, in other words. If I was cutting the entire floor out, I'd probably put braces in, you know. It may still be a good idea, but I figured with the floor, I could do half at a time and probably get by with it okay. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? You can let me know. Am I going to get myself into trouble? I don't think so, because it's made for it. But anyway, I already took some measurements across the doors, and we'll just double check how it is. Actually, that side is off 1/8 of an inch compared to this side. And so I'm guessing it has to do with their interesting little patch job. Oh, except that's factory up there where I measured. So from the factory, we're 1/8 of an inch off. Probably not a huge deal, but anyway, I'm going to vacuum up the sand that has rattled loose, and then I'm going to turn this thing upside down, or most of the way, and start by priming the bottom side. The little bit that we can keep. Okay, I leveled this as well as I could, so hopefully she just decides to turn. Let me jack it up high enough to get it to spin, and we'll see. Okay, I think we're high enough. touching. Holy cow. The sand is epic. I wish this model had a crank to crank her around, a gearbox, you know, but hey, I'm happy to have it. Come on. Maybe I should get the engine on. So this is kind of fun. I got a call the other day from the folks, and they asked if I'd be interested in a cheap paint gun. They were at one of those, you know, recycle, reuse it centers. $10, you know, it's nothing to write home about, but sure, why not? We can shoot primer with it, maybe, if it works. And anyway, the other day I shot a bunch of parts for this with that Eastwood chassis black, and they turned out great. So we'll try it with this 2K primer. That gun is just some old Husky, but I gotta tell you, with a 1.3 tip. But I gotta tell you, it does the thing, you know. I've got nothing to complain about as far as that goes. That's just kind of funny to me. Anyway, 2 coats on the bottoms of everything and our subframe. So tomorrow, right now, I'm just gonna let that cure. For most of that does not get it cut apart, that'll be the final coat, you know. Probably, I'm kind of toying around with Raptor liner on the bottom. We'll see. I've seen that done before, specifically on truck cabs, on the bottom and then on the floor. And I think that would really help insulate and deaden noise. On the inside, we may put sound deadener mat. I don't know yet, but anyway, I think that's just kind of a good, rugged, semi-insulating material that would last a really long, long time. So just gonna let these cure overnight. Tomorrow we will come lay the Nova down, and yeah, we may do all 3 pieces again. Certainly I'm gonna flip this end for end so I can get the other side of the cross members and just finish up this part of it. And then we will go into the multitude of little pieces. See you then. Well, that's all done. So now I'm going to hop on the inside and start priming in there, and then move outside. I guess I'll do the same on the 40 cab. I may also try to squeeze my Corvair door in here and shoot some primer on it while we're at it. All right, well, here we go. We've got a lot of sheet metal in this paint booth right now, so it's probably going to take quite a few cupfuls. I'm just going to keep priming until it's through this afternoon. We have the addition of the Corvair door here, you know. See if we can gain some ground on that. So, stop talking and start spraying. I don't know if you noticed, I switched guns on you. I went back to the other cheapie I spray a lot of primer with. This guy here. Because I thought, it worked so well yesterday, I'll just keep using this thing. But it would not feed product, and it turns out there is why you don't run these filters that come with the guns. They might work short term, but they do not work all the time. I have got a big old mess going on in here. Well, good morning. I guess I will try to get everything out of here, and we'll get set up for all the little parts. You know, a guy was just reminded yesterday how little he cares for painting the inside of vehicles. It is not fun, and it is very difficult. Anyway, it's done for now. But this is looking good. Okay, well, I've got as much hanging up and set up as I can get. I really need to make like a, I don't know, 6 foot tall, 8 foot tall rolling rack, you know, like 10, 15 feet long that I can hang a lot of parts on also, in addition to my pipe over there. But I've got all of the Nova pieces laid out in here. Now, of course, I'm going to have to prime them and then flip them over maybe this afternoon and do the other side. I've got the dash for the 40 and a couple of the little rocker panels, but I still have a small pile of parts for the 40 on the floor here that'll have to be done at a later date, probably tomorrow. So once again, I'm gonna mix up some primer and just keep moving here. Hokey smokes. Well, you can probably see from the condition of everything, my hands, the gun, the counter. I think I'm going to replace this cardboard today. Behind the scenes, I've had a little difficulty with this primer. Oh, I got it on my pants. Shoot. Anyway, what do I expect? This is I was shooting Nason primer I got it from O'Reilly's locally. Now they're not an O'Reilly's that mixes paint, so it's debatable whether, you know, how fresh it is, I guess. When I opened it up in the morning yesterday, it was beautiful. It was nice and thin, mixed great, shot wonderful. And then even yesterday afternoon, when I opened the can back up, mixed up some more, it was noticeably thicker already. And today was no exception to that. Now today it's low 60s in the shop. I was using mid-temp hardener, which should have only slowed down its curing time, you know. So heat's not a problem. I wouldn't say activator or hardener's the problem, but it just got thick. I was using this gun this morning. The pot is still full. I cannot get the lid off, and it is solid in there. Like I said, I came back about 11 o'clock. I was going to I flipped everything over and I was going to recoat it. I could barely get anything out of here. This sat maybe maximum for an hour, which should be reasonable considering the temperature, the activator, the pot life. Should be at least an hour, right? But it just thickened up solid, and I'm afraid I ruined. I mean, this was a free gun I got from here, but it's a shame I ruined it. I switched over to my Spectrum from Harbor Freight with a 1.7 tip on it, and this gun does awesome for the price it was, but their downfall is their cup system. Had to change out batteries. Like I was saying, I switched to this gun, 1.7 tip. I would not recommend not using this for base and clear because of the size of the tip in it. Their weak point is the cup system, and it proceeded to leak and drip, and I could not do a thing about it, and it was too late, and I had had enough, and I was just spraying. I would be spraying along. I did like half the hood, and then all of a sudden it just starts dribbling and fast, you know. Nothing but interruptions! A notification from Walmart. Why do I get that? Good grief. So, in conclusion, it's okay. It's just initial coats of primer. I'm not too worried about any of this. It's done. We went through a gallon and a quart of primer. I got a new clear coat gun from DeVilbiss, and I will go over that with you when the time comes. And I got their decups adapter thing for the gun. And I got a sample pack of that, and I like how DeVilbiss does it. You get a permanent base plate, and then you snap just like it's the same kind of thing as the older decups system. Whereas this relies on that thread. I'm just saying, I have never once had a problem with the decup system for the DeVilbiss, ever. Not ever, once. But I have persisted in having problems with this. If I can get an adapter... Oh, now someone's here. In conclusion, what was I concluding? I don't know. DeVilbiss good, Harbor Freight bad for cups. Gonna try to adapt to Harbor Freight on this gun if I can. And our priming project is complete. I am gonna try to clean this mess up. This thing is a heavy, solid piece of junk. Thank you, and good night. Well, that's all that. Everything's coated. A few items have 2 coats on them, the 2 lids, the cowl, and our 40 rocker panels. Everything else is probably going to be good enough. I did 2 on these. There are some trouble areas, like on the trunk lid. We've got a little rot right in this area here that will have to be taken care of, and then corresponding to the rot underneath the front molding, we have some pinholes on the inside as well. But by and large, most of that is going to be just fine and can go, we'll scuff the rest of it down and just go to paint, and we don't have to worry about it other than what we got going on. So anyway, let that cure for the rest of the morning. I'm going to come back and prime everything else later. So we'll see you sometime. In the dash like this, boy, it's just getting me excited. What a pretty little thing. And what a nice condition it is too. We've got a couple very small dents that could have even been from the factory. Who knows? Little bit of pitting where the stainless goes. Other than that, it's pretty nice. Now guys, I know there's other systems out there, cup systems, 3M and so forth. I personally use DeVilbiss. That's just what I know. And so I thought I'd just share with you, if you guys are in your own little predicament with Spectrum and this cup system that does not inspire confidence. Maybe I'm holding my mouth wrong when I do it, my tongue wrong, I don't know. Anyway, so this is the stock DeVilbiss adapter that I got for a DV1, and that's a DPC-43, is that what it says? Yeah. This is your Spectrum adapter for their cup system, and you see it has female threads, or this has male, because the Spectrum gun has male threads on it, and so I just took a shot in the dark. I tried it. This is listed as for a Seda and Iwata guns, DPC-11, and I have not tried it to make sure it doesn't leak, but it shouldn't. It goes right on there, and the bevels seem to match. So now I can use my decup system on this Harbor Freight gun. Well, I know a lot of this has just been probably typically stuff that should be reserved for behind the scenes work. Nothing too exciting, just putting this on the rotisserie and a lot of primer has been shot. I think what I'm gonna have to do on the 40, it's looking like this is two separate panels that were stamped, and then they applied the sheet metal over the heavier framework. And the belt line is actually where they join the two layers. You can feel the bottom edge there, or if you look in, you can see the top edge of the inner panel. And that's why all of this really likes to rust out on these things. On that other cab, that's why it was just absolutely crusty, you know. So I'm really thinking what I should do on this project is cut all my, or drill out all my spot welds on the sides where they spot welded the two pieces of the belt line together, and all along the bottom, and pull off that lower panel. Then we can, I've got a machine shop. They have a water jet, and they are cutting out MDF to this profile. So we're gonna basically make a buck for our press, and hopefully we can stamp some new belt line profile there. We're gonna do that, but I really wanna get in between the two layers of this belt line, because I'm very scared that if we just do it as it is, fix this problem, sometime down the road, we're gonna start getting rust leaching through, staining through, you can imagine. And so I just really want to get in there, clean all that up, seal it up, maybe with some whatever, Pour 15 or whatever, and then put it back together. But obviously we have some issues to fix along the way. Now, as I said, this video is just a lot of priming and so forth. So for our last hurrah, both of these projects, I'm at the stage where it's just time to start cutting and welding and patching and fabricating. I think my first step, I want to cut along this line and see what kind of progress we can make. Original old iron and spatter paint.